जाऊ तिमी हसी
ना
30 दिन में अंग्रेजी एक बात खींच के दूंगा ना 30 सेकंड में अकल आ जाएगी। इस उम्र में बैठ के अंग्रेजी सीखूं मैं? अंग्रेजी पढ़कर क्या चौधरी बनना है मुझे?
सुन तो, बेकार नुस्खा। ए, तेरा नुस्खा था। इतनी जल्दी भेजा इन लोगों ने।
अस्मिता मिस
ठंडा करता
त्यो गाडी वालाले 3 नम्बर दिएको हो रे हैन। अब कि गाडीको कलर याद गर्नु पर्यो कि गाडीको नम्बर याद गर्नु पर्यो हैन। भनेर त्यो मान्छेलाई भने 5.5 को पोखरा नेटमा हो भनेर। त्यो गाडी चाहिँ स्कर्पियो गुलाबी कलरमा छ रे है। पिङ्क कलर, पिङ्क त्यस्तै गुलाबी कलरमा छ भन्थे। समथिङ त्यस्तै है, गुलाबी टाइपमा हैन। अब त्यो गाडी नम्बर त हो त्यही रेड डार्क त्यही समथिङ हैन। अनि गाडी नम्बर त त्यही नै भयो हैन। अब त्यो हाइवेमा घुइकेर आउला यसो याद गर्नु पर्यो। त्यही त अब के त त्यो भाइलाई नि भनेको दाइ मलाई के अरे त्यो ड्राइभरले नै त्यही नम्बर दिएको भनेपछि त्यो भाइलाई नि भन्नु कुरा भएन। हुन्छ
अरे अरे
वो हिंदी से अंग्रेजी बुक्स तुम ले आए?
मेरा नहीं, वो पप्पी का नुस्खा था।
अच्छा?
सबकी जोड़ी बना दी। मेरी जिंदगी में भी कोई चमत्कार कर दो।
Days rest yesterday, and as we move into the business end of the tournament.
Well, to my left, I'm joined by none other than Andrew Leonard. Andrew, let's start with the Kings. They're top of the table for a reason. Big hitting, skillful bowling. What have you made of this team so far?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Jess. Good morning to everyone watching at home. It's Derby Day, isn't it, here today? The two sides from the Far East get us going before we move out to the Far West, Suda Prashim versus Karnali this afternoon. But to answer your question, yeah, look, there's no doubt that the Biratnagar Kings have been outstanding and in a very different space and vibe around the camp this season as opposed to season one. A lot of that comes down to Dipendra Chowdhury's work in the background, the director of cricket for them. He's basically 12 months of the year trying to build and develop this franchise, and it's no surprise to me with the players they've recruited, particularly someone like George Munsey, as to why they're going so well.
Absolutely. And now looking at the Bolts and the reigning champs, they did in fact lose their first game, but plenty of positives to look at. We saw a 50 from Asif Sheikh as well. How can they expand on this today?
Yeah, they've had two really kind of strange schedules for two of the teams. One of those is the reigning champions, the Janakpur Bolts, because they played on opening day, as we see in most franchise competitions, but then they've had 6-7 days off and only back into action now today on the second Monday of the tournament. Get competitive. They weren't very competitive on day one despite Asif Sheikh's 50. If they do win, well, the table's going to look fascinating by the end of today.
Now, I've got 22 very, very strong players on this field today, Andrew. Let's take a look at the playing 11.
Yeah, let's get a look at both of the playing 11s. Asher Ahmed's only got a couple of starts, but he's looked good too. H.D. Ackerman is spot on in what he's saying, that Sandeep Lamachani is bowling as well as he ever has. Now for the Bolts, Lahiru Malantha, so critical at the top, one of the leading run scorers in the first season, the stylish left-hander who's somehow yet to make his debut for USA. He'll be important, so too will Jan Nicol, Lofty Eaton and Sanjay Krishnamurthy in the middle. And I thought one of the high points was the way Kishore Mahato bowled in their tournament's opener. They have a winning mentality around them. The only challenge for them is they've had to recruit a new head coach. Babudu Dasanayaka, who did such a good job in that first season, they've had to go now to Shiv Narayan Chandrapal. I'm not saying it's a drop off in quality. Shiv is simply a legend of our sport, one of my favourite players of all time, but just that change in personnel, that takes a bit of adjusting and getting used to.
Now, as we said, there's a lot of very, very strong players on this field today. But let's have a look at some of the standout players from the Kings then. We've got George Munsey versus the Gorkas, 36 of 16. We know exactly what he's capable of. What can we expect to see from him today?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt George Munsey is a world-class player. He is simply, for me, the premier associate batsman. The reason why, well, it's his domination in all phases of the top of a T20 innings. He's having a fantastic time in ODI cricket too. If you look at this package here, Jess, almost everything is going to the leg side. In fact, the only ones he'll get to the offside will probably be the reverse sweep, that one right there. So everything tends to go through the leg side, and then when the spinners come on, he just switches his hand, reverses it round. He's such power, and I'll tell you one thing, he has no shortage of confidence either.
Absolutely not. And now if we look at Martin Guptill, he was hitting them all over the park last match. Unstoppable versus the Avengers. 61 off 35. What makes him so strong in the middle?
Well, it's his dominant front foot game, isn't it? Martin Guptill, look, he's an icon for the Black Caps, an icon for New Zealand. His days of international cricket are gone, but the thing I love about him was his keenness to get back here to Nepal after a very difficult first season. He made a 50 in the opening game last year. After that, he barely got a run, had a hamstring injury, but he keeps himself incredibly fit. And look at everything. It's all front foot, it's all down the ground, it's a power game. He's a really, really impressive player. Probably more importantly, he's an impressive cricketer, and that's why the Kings have brought him back, and he's helping to guide their youngsters so well.
Now moving over to the Bolts then, Asif Sheikh 54 off 51. How important was that for the team?
Yeah, look, Asif Sheikh, for me, he's the premier domestic batter in terms of his technique and his quality. So when you look at an innings like this, it's not particularly dominant in terms of his strike rate, but it's very, very effective at the top. I did feel in the opening game of the tournament, whoever lost the toss and was going to be asked to bat first was really finding their way, because it was the first ever floodlit cricket match, first ever official floodlit cricket match of any kind in this country. So as a consequence, there was almost, you could see both sides kind of finding their way through, learning to the conditions, adapting to the conditions. But there's no doubt that I would expect Asif Sheikh to be up in the top 10 run scorers come the end of this MPL.
Now, Mayank Yadav coming further down the order versus the Gorkas, 34 off 29. Will we see more of this from him today?
Yes, I think the challenge is, the problem for the Bolts is, like many of the domestic batters, it's getting that strike rate going in the right direction. Mohamed Adil Alam the other day, he made 48 off, 23, 24 or something like that. But a lot of the domestic batters are sticking at strike rates of 110, 120. Even Rohit Powell not striking as powerfully as they can. There's different ways to build an innings, different ways to get towards a strike rate of 150, 160. But there's no doubt they'll need more contributions all throughout the order, including their domestic players.
And as we say, the Kings are sitting nicely at the top of the table currently. Let's take a closer look at how the table is looking.
Jess, I think the table's looking fascinating.